Hi everyone. So over the last little bit I've been seeing a lot of videos on people recycling high density polyethylene. That is HDPE number 2 recycling material. So this video I thought I would give a shot at laminating some high density polyethylene bags. So here we go. Out of my little container, this is all the ones that were HDPE. So I had a lot of material to work with. The first thing I did was put down a mat so that I wasn't overheating the countertop. I didn't want to damage it in any way, so I put down a dishwashing mat, which served the purpose pretty well. The next thing I needed was a clothes iron. I didn't have one, so I had to go out and buy one. It easily gets to the 180 degrees Celsius that is required in order to melt high density polyethylene. The other thing that was really important for this is the parchment paper, and this just makes it so that the plastic doesn't stick to either the bottom surface or the iron. That actually works very well. I didn't experience any sticking at all throughout this whole project. And the first bag, little Value Village bag. So this is just a test. The iron's set at maximum temperature and it is 2 layers thick. And there's the top layer of the parchment paper going on. So I didn't have much of a set technique to this. It was more or less just first shot just to see what was going to happen. I noticed right away that the temperature was just too hot. I could see that it was melting it way too fast. I did notice that the polyethylene, the HDPE, does shrink substantially when you heat it. Yeah, and there's what happens when it's just a little too hot on the iron. So here is another test, another Value Village bag, and this is just with my iron set on level 4. So it's 2 levels lower. So this one worked a little bit better. I stayed with level 4 as my setting. Basically for the rest of the video, I believe. So after flipping it over and doing it again, it's pretty well laminated. There are a lot of bubbles, which I noticed with this. One of the reasons I thought about laminating it instead of putting it in an oven, in addition just melting it into a big blob, was I was trying to attempt to avoid a lot of the air bubbles and air pockets that I've seen in some of the other project videos from other people. And I thought that laminating it might be one way to sort of reduce the amount of air pockets in it. But I think in order for that to work, I would most likely have to have some sort of press, like a heated press, to squeeze all the air bubbles out. And this is just going over it, folding the bag in half, going over it, folding the bag in half, going over it, just to see how far you can take, like how many layers you can melt together at the same time. I think after you get to 4 layers thick, it's actually very challenging to melt 4 layers onto 4 layers properly without there being some kind of hole or gap in it. So this next little bit, I'm just trying to see how far I can take the lamination. So what I've just done is started with a new bag, started again from scratch, and just built layer upon layer. These are quite hot. Actually, I burned myself a few times just grabbing onto the semi-molten bag. 180 degrees Celsius. It is very, very hot. And so it's just about adding another layer and another layer. One thing to note is that while I didn't notice any sort of odor coming off of the plastic from melting it, and I made sure not to burn the plastic itself, it is probably very important that if you're going to do this inside, do it in a well-ventilated area, or if you have a range hood over the counter or over the stove, and you can set up some way to do it there, just to help pull any vapors that do come off of the plastic out. You don't want to be breathing those in, especially for an extended period of time. I'm not entirely sure about other types of plastic, but I know for this one I didn't notice any smoke or any vapor. So this is after about, I think this is about 15 layers in total, just sort of trimming it up. The plastic is very hard. I was quite happy about that. So this is a close-up of the edges, the laminated edges. They look quite well, a few bubbles, but all in all it was very well done. I figured instead of just having a plate of, some random plate of plastic, I'd try and form it to something. So I found a tin can and just wrapped it up around the tin can. So it was very, very hot, but it was very interesting in a way. I formed it around the tin can, and then I filled the tin can with cold water just to help speed up the cooling process a bit. And after it was cooled, I was able to pull it out, and it took the shape of the can quite well. And very useful for different crafts that a person might want to do. So after this, I decided to try a different type of plastic. I tried, the blue is actually a recycling bag. It's not high density polyethylene. I believe it's low density polyethylene. I might be mistaken. So I figured, hey, I might try it out. Maybe make a bracelet or something. World's ugliest bracelet. But alright, that'll sort of give you an idea about working with high density polyethylene. And I hope to be back to show you something else that I made with it in the future. Thank you for watching.